All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Vincent Township Board of Supervisors meeting for September 18. All rise and say the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first I'd like to announce that there was an executive session held on September 14, and that was for personnel. Next, approval of the minutes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion. Anyone from the audience? Seeing no comment, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, correspondence. I don't know if we have any correspondence. Do we? No. Nope. Okay. Next is police report. Sergeant Russell, please. Yeah, this way now. Sergeant, before you get started, on behalf of the residents and the board of West Vincent Township, I'd like to thank you and all the officers for keeping us safe, for all the long, tedious hours that you spent out on the manhunt, and just assuring us that you're doing your job and keeping us safe. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That's what we're here for. So happy it's over.
Yeah, I know, but you guys are doing like 16, 18-hour shifts and not seeing your families and really above and beyond. So
Great coordinated effort.
thank you so much.
Oh, okay. This is the monthly report for August. For training, we had simulated firearms training. The summary totals are the number of calls for service is 152, number of crimes investigated 8, number of arrests 0, number of traffic stops 55, number of accidents investigated 7.
Okay, very good. Anyone from the audience have any questions? Barry, you want to come up here, please?
Barry Deliberate, 1012 Pottstown Pike, Chester Springs, PA. In light of the Cavalcante apprehension and the participation of so much law enforcement out there, how many officers and how many hours did they do? Do you have any idea?
I don't. That would be a question for the chief.
I do know that we had officers who went up to Unionville and were helping from the very beginning. Is that correct? That we, yeah. And I think that they bill those hours back.
Cool. Yeah, and that was my next question. How are you effectively billing the county for this disaster?
Once again, I think that's a question for the chief.
Okay, you have no idea about that? You haven't discussed it with them? You have no, because the money comes out of the township.
Only the fact that it was being reimbursed by the county,
Okay,
not the dollar amounts. No.
great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We should have given him the rest of the week off, so we'll give him a little bit of time to get his paperwork together.
You got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Tommy?
Thomas Helwig, 2024, Pottstown Pike. What's simulated firearms training?
You have to ask them.
Like gone already, or? No, I mean, I'm going to save this for
It's
next.
above my pay grade, yeah, so I don't know. Couldn't answer.
All right.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing none. Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Chairman. The ARPA fund has a balance of $129,175.39. The general fund has a balance of $1,371,069.66. The open space has a balance of $3,344,898.40. The liquid fuels has a balance of $96,516.64. The capital road fund has a balance of $3,459,829.42. The capital project reserve fund has a balance of $2,404,663.45. The capital equipment fund has a balance of $354,201.53. The sewer fund has a balance of $183,777.16, and the rebuild fund has a balance of $793,847.36.
Okay, good. Any questions? I just looked at you immediately. I know you would have the questions.
I don't have too many questions.
But John, will you limit it to questions that you didn't ask Jackie already from earlier today?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
John Eldridge, 1634 Hilltop Road, Bertrandville, PA. Every month, for months and months, I look at the financials and I make a sort of a condensed financial statement, which I send all the board members and hand out to several people here. And I get a response from the township that always starts out with, "You ought to learn the facts." This time it says, "It's based on your inability to read a financial statement." And so I think in the interest of civility, that should practice of making an insult or a put down in your opening response should be discouraged. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? See
Can I
any?
respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Mr. Eldridge, in your opening line to the email you sent to me, you said that my report had dropped to an all-time low, which I found quite insulting. So I think maybe,
They insulted that.
no, I was saying, I don't think it was an all-time low. I think you just didn't understand what you were reading. That's what was meant by that.
Okay, we'll move on. Expenditures and summary. Bills list, please.
Okay. The general fund bills were $119,107.39. The open space bills was $189.51. And there was a sewer bill payment for $158,270.96, which was a check that was lost in the mail, and I had to recut for the Pulte Home portion of the sewer that was sold.
Okay. Questions?
George Stelchino's 1415 Hollow Road. My question is, and it's been for months, is about the format of the report and how we have truncated columns in the report. If you look at page 4 of the report, every single column is truncated because it doesn't fit. Now, I get that there's an issue on trying to fit them into a page, but I don't know how you can know what you're looking at to approve this bill list. I mean, there's $20,000 in legal fees, no offense, Mark, but there's like 20 different line items with invoice numbers. But if this is all you have to look at, how do you know what you're looking at?
The checks only print a certain amount of lines anyway, so you're not going to get all of that. You'll get, for example, like on Mark's bill, he'll tell me that this bill was for work that he did on a certain development or for a certain property, and
Right.
that's what it gets billed to. But they're mostly, when you do a check like that, it'll only fit like 10 columns. So then anything after that doesn't show up on there anyway.
But like, if you provide this to the board and they're going to approve these expenditures, how do they know?
Well,
Invoice
because they-
2437,
No,
We
because
look
the
at
checks are
every bit of
attached to the
paperwork.
bills, and they look at the bills when they sign the checks.
you look at each bill while you sign the check.
They do.
Okay, so then
We
my,
do it, we get them by the Wednesday before the meeting, and we look at.
okay, so then
everything.
my next question is, why can we provide that information? At least it used to be provided in the memo field in the bills report. For example, it would say invoice, such and such, legal work on Evans Park or something.
Well, it just
Now-
is the invoice number for which one it is. It doesn't give you all that information, otherwise none of the stuff would fit on the page. So in the memo, it tells you that I'm paying invoice number 25501. The next one is, it'll give you each invoice number for which I'm paying on that particular invoice.
But there's no way to cross-reference that for the bills list to let people know. I mean, I think this is not very useful.
Well, I'm sorry, that's the way that they print up in QuickBooks.
But it used to be, I mean, I have a copy from a year ago.
Because they used to give you what's called a bill list, but that's not a comprehensive list of all the expenditures.
Oh, well, it's
They're just
pretty
checks that were
comprehensive.
paid.
Well, can you do that for checks?
Well, no, because the amount would be different than the expenditures list. There's a lot of ACH payments and other things that get paid not by check. You also have all the payroll stuff, which isn't paid by check.
So-
It's done through ACHs. So if I just give you a bill list like they used to do, it's not giving you the big picture of all the expenditures. It's just giving you,
That is
Bill
true,
list.
but if I'm looking at 20 checks written for, sorry again, Mark, legal fees, I have no idea what they're for.
well, they're on his bill. If you want a copy of his bill, you can always
But
ask for a copy of it.
every month? For every bill? I mean,
And it's a lot of bills, it's, you know, it's not just.
I mean, I'm looking at an old report and there's 50 or 100 bills on one
Because
page
that's-
with a summary.
That's a bill list. That is not an expenditure list.
Can we do bills
Two different
list?
animals. We can't because the amount on the bill list won't match the amount on the expenditures list. We're approving all of the expenditures at the meeting, not just the bills. So you can't have two treasurer's reports with different expenditure amounts.
But I think some useful information is lost to the public. The public
Well, I'm
isn't.
sorry, I've tried to accommodate everybody. It's just, you know, I'm limited in what QuickBooks could do. I do put stuff in the memo section. As I said, the board sees the bills with the checks so that they know what I'm paying is accurate. And if you have a question about a bill, we can always give you a copy of the bill.
So the memo,
All you have to do is ask, George.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll ask.
but I'll get that when, a month after the
No,
meeting, when
Yeah,
they're approved,
tomorrow.
You get tomorrow.
after they're approved.
Well, you won't see it until we're at this meeting and approve it.
But the bills list
Ask
was,
for it
this
today.
expenditure list was created Friday.
Okay?
No, it seems like we've lost something, that the public doesn't have a good, clear picture of what's,
I think you're looking at it the wrong way. I think we gained something because now we get a big picture of all the expenditures, not just the bills. So those previous treasurer's reports were never accurate because it didn't encompass all of the expenditures. So I think you've gained something
So-
rather than lost.
so outside of checks, say an ACH payment,
All the
This-
payroll is done through ACH,
okay,
all of it, FICO taxes, everything.
okay. But you know, somewhere you know what it's for. You're saying that it's not tied anywhere in the memo field or anything, what the
It
purpose
is,
was?
it's the memo.
Just the invoice number.
Well, because that corresponds to the invoice that I'm paying for Mark or Ed or whoever it is that I'm paying.
So how did the memo used to have an invoice and a description?
Because they used to put it in as a bills list, and in the bill list, you can put all of that stuff in there and it'll print as a bill. So when you're paying a bills list, you're only paying bills, you're not paying everything.
But isn't the memo part of a QuickBook record?
Yeah, and the memo is there, it just doesn't have the length to put all of that stuff in there.
But
Can I
couldn't-
just say that, George, in the past, we didn't have it broken down to that level because, you know, I know we keep picking on Mark here, but on Mark's bill, you know, that was made up of several invoices with many, many line items on it. And the same thing when we look at LTL, it's a stack like this. So you were never getting that. You just saw that it was LTL or, you know, we didn't share that before. You can always ask for it.
Okay, all right.
Agree?
Thank you.
Of course. Barry?
So if I understand this correctly, that it's not, the detail isn't there, and that's a benefit to us, to not be able to see all
That's not
that.
what we said. What I said was, there is detail there, it gives you the invoice number that I'm paying. What's not there is the stack of bills that goes, the statements that go with it. So if you want to make all those correlations, you can have copies of the bills.
So what we're going to have to do then, or George in this case, is going to have to do a right to know for every bill on this list. Is that really the labor of work we want in the office?
Well, what do you suggest I do? Go back to doing a bill list that isn't correct?
I think that a bills list would at least give people information on how to do it. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example, Jackie. When I was supervisor, we didn't have a bills list. The bills list came around because I demanded a bills list, because we as the public had to vote to approve the bills list of something we didn't see. So I made sure that got done. Shortly thereafter, the law firm that was here, not you guys, had double billed us to a total of about $68,000, and two of the supervisors approved it. But because I saw the breakdown of exactly what those bills were, I recognized them from the month before and stopped it.
Okay.
I mean, they fought me, but eventually I won $68,000 for these people.
And I get that, but our board looks at every single, I take the check and I attach it to the bill. Every single bill is attached to the check that's paying it. And this board takes the time to go through every single bill and every single check to make sure everything's copacetic. So dumb things like that aren't going to happen.
While we care about the supervisor doing that, because that is your job,
It is.
what is just as important is the people that are paying for this to be done, as well as knowing where those expenditures are to be going, because otherwise you could have things going out the door that the public doesn't know that turn out not to be good, such as a $68,000 legal bill that's been double billed. We, over the years, have seen a lot of that, Jackie. Intentionally? I don't know. I like to think not. But they were caught by civilians, not by the supervisors, not by the township manager. So it's one of those things that these people and I need to know where that money's going.
What you're asking me to give you a bill list that will give you expenditures that are a lot less than the actual expenditures that we need to approve. They're thousands of dollars apart. Thousands of dollars apart.
So for all the vendors, we don't care about salaries so much. That can be whatever,
They
but
still have to be approved as expenditures at the meeting. You can't just approve the bills. You have to approve all of the expenditures as a whole.
oh, sure, you can approve that, but there should be information on all the bills that are paid.
There are, the memo is there.
You just can't.
Excuse me, okay, so here's like the things that I look at, like, oh, we're gonna, here's a bill for Crystal Springs for water. Do you want to know how many cases we bought? I mean, like, what do you want to know? That's what the detail is. How far are we going? Because it's there, it's like, we paid it to these people, but do you want to know how much water?
Dana, let's not simplify it with Crystal Springs.
Right.
Let's do something more important, like,
Oh, it's important.
you poor guy, you're just getting beat up tonight. Let's say legal bills, it's 10 different things. We want to see what they are. We want to know what actions are going
I
on.
can give you a copy of the bill and you can see everything that was paid.
Well, then that's going to have to be the answer. We're going to do right to knows on every bill, every time. And I hate to hear that, because that's money that none of us want to spend or build up time for the right to know officer to have to pull all those bills. But if there's no simple way to do it, I'm afraid that's probably what's going to happen. And I apologize ahead of time for there not being another solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Bobby?
Tom Helwig, Pottstown Pike. I can't believe I sit here and I think I'm the guy of reason here in this group. That's usually not my role. However, thank you very much. There are simple solutions to this. Having the public at large have to file all these freedom of informations and having you fill them out till you go blind is insane. Likewise, let me finish.
Asking for all the bills.
I'll let you answer, let me finish.
Okay.
Likewise, I think that there is for some reason, can't put a finger on it, but there seems to be some desire not to provide the total package of information that's looked for by the public here.
It's not
Hear me
true.
out, hear me out.
I'm listening to you, but I'm telling you it's not true.
May I finish? Thank you. Yes, you've done some improvement activity by saying, well, here's the total big picture. That's great. But we'd also like the stuff down at the lower levels also. We used to provide that stuff, so I know it can be done. That was an evidence here that this used to be
That was a
a
bill
function.
list.
So why can't we provide both? Is it that bloody hard?
They're not one report. You can't.
So run 2 reports. How hard
Yeah,
is
but they
that?
have 2 different amounts on
Who
them.
cares?
I care because the treasurer's report is approving the expenditures.
We're talking about 2
in a
different
certain
things here.
amount,
The
and bill
public
list
wants a
is not
bloody
complete.
bills list.
I'm not going to give you an incomplete expenditures list for any reason.
Well, then I guess we're just gonna dig our heels in and be silly about it.
How about we discuss?
Congratulations. No logic.
Discuss.
There you go.
John Eldridge, 1634 Hilltop Road. Yes, I think if the public wants, if you're doing this for the public, which they are, I think the public should get the bills list that they want. Now, expenditures, if you want, you do a profit and loss statement for a period. If it's for the month, it comes in here, you present it, and the supervisors approve it. That's all the expenditures. We aren't interested in reviewing whether who gets a salary and
But
what the
John,
salaries
one
are with
month
the health
you
and the
complained-
dental and the.
Wait, 1 month you complained to me because the expenditure list was a lot more than the bill list when I did it that way. And your argument to me was that the expenditure list was wrong because the bill list was thousands of dollars less and that I over-exaggerated the expenditures. Do you remember that? Because,
No, I don't remember that.
yeah, well, I have the email, so
But
I have it
I
shown.
must bring this one thing up again. This expenditure of the $157,000 in the sewer bill, which was approved in June. It was on the list and it was approved. It appeared on the list again
Right, because the check
because
was
it wasn't
lost.
checked. Well,
Check was lost in the mail. I had to put a stop payment on it and reissue the check. And by doing so, it now has a new check number and a new date, and it has to be part of the bills list for the audit.
but so now they've approved up to $300,000 of
They've
the sewer?
approved- That's one amount that they've approved, and we
Yeah.
didn't pay more than the approved amount.
Okay.
All right, thank you, John. Anyone else?
I'm
Seeing
gonna make a
none,
motion. We didn't make a motion yet.
go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the expenditures list for all township funds in the amount of $277,567.86.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Managers report, please.
Okay, Resolution 16-2023 is the acceptance of the municipal and community clean energy plan that we were asked to accept in order for the, I guess, regional group to collect grant monies that they had applied for. So I need the board to consider approving that.
Make a motion.
Oh, there was a motion later on here, I believe, right? Do you want to jump to that?
Yeah, we can also do it now.
Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 16-2023, acceptance of the municipal and community clean energy transition plans.
And I'll second the motion. Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor?
And I actually thought we did, but we couldn't make a motion because it was a workshop. That's why we never did it.
Right. Next on your list, Jackie.
We have the road materials bid that was received from Cedar Hollow Recycling. This company has been working with the township for quite some time. The bid amount submitted was $67,120 for recycled blacktop 2A modified graduated and the hauling and disposal of dirt. The administration recommends that the bid be accepted.
All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Cedar Hollow Recycling in the amount of $67,120 for road materials.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We did skip. Okay.
Yeah,
What did we skip?
Oh. We skipped Flint Roads, and we skipped, the solicitor for Flint Road.
We're on the managers report.
I don't know
right?
what, this is out of order. I'm missing this.
Tom, sit down. You're not recognized. Please sit down.
We're not, oh, here we go. All right.
We need to,
For Flint Road. I'm missing that.
we need to authorize the solicitor to amend the zoning ordinance to advertise the Flint Road speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour. We did get the traffic study back from Al, and that was the recommended speed limit. So we need to just direct Mark to advertise the ordinance and make the change.
And that's what is actually post it. It's
Yeah,
just,
but
we're
in
changing the
the
ordinance
ordinance says
so
30.
that they can
Yep.
properly enforce that
Yeah.
law.
So it can be enforced.
Yes. Okay, I will make a motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise and amend the zoning ordinance regarding reducing Flint Road speed limit to 25 miles per hour.
And I'll second. Any discussion for the audience? Seeing none?
We have Tom.
Well, I was going to ask you a question about the previous one, but since you decided you wanted to press on,
Oh,
not
you
let me
already-
speak, that's
We
fine.
missed it.
That's
Well,
okay.
Well, let's
Yeah.
approve this first.
Oh, wait a minute, Tom.
This was Cedar Hollow. This is
Stop,
the,
stop.
Wait,
Hold
let's-
on.
can we finish
Hold on.
this?
Let us
and-
finish business, then we'll go back to you.
well, I'm asking you a question
It'll
about what
take
you
1
just said.
second.
Do you have any questions on?
On the speed
On Flint
limit?
Road?
You talk about the speed limit?
No, I'm talking about the one previous
to No.
that you shut me off on.
No, I didn't shut you off, you just weren't timely.
down.
You weren't timely. We had already voted.
timely.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
We're almost done. So we need to approve that.
I second,
I made-
okay.
Okay,
All in favor?
Aye. all right, then we're caught up, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go back to you, Tom. What do you have to say?
You sure? I had a simple question. The Cedar Hollow thing is to haul away ground up parts of the road?
No,
Or
this is a-
they're providing materials or taking away?
Providing material.
Enough.
No, it's taking, do you want to explain that?
Yeah,
Jackie,
I
you
am
started to
confused.
explain it.
Apparently you are.
I'm sorry, what?
You had
Okay.
explained it initially, why don't you?
The company, okay, the bid amount submitted for 67,120 is for recycled blacktop 2A, modified graduated, and the hauling and disposal of dirt.
It's too.
So it's two different things. They're supplying aggregate and they're hauling away dirt. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay, where were we here?
Right,
Agenda.
Number 7, this.
Managers
cell-
report, we're still, yeah, go ahead.
The cell tower proposal, we have 2 proposals, one from Velour and one from the P3 Cell Tower Company. I've given you a breakdown of what each is offering, and Velour has said that they would like us to make a decision because they have had a resident in the township offer to have the tower put on their property, and Velour is worried about losing the tenants that they currently have, losing interest if we're not going to move forward with this. So I guess the board just needs to decide if they want to consider this, and if so, I can send the lease agreements to Mark for review.
Do you want to speak to that first?
Yes, I think that that is something we do want to entertain, so I'm in favor of it, yes.
Yeah, I'm in favor of going forward with Velour. Certainly, we need to do a little bit more due diligence with all of that and check references and send it to Mark, but I much prefer to go with a resident. They're fairly equal, and Sherry's been terrific about working with us and done a lot of the legwork, so I think that that's the right decision.
Okay. Discussions about the Human Relation Commission ordinance.
We have some,
Yeah.
What's the location of the cell tower right now, approximately? Is it going to be here? Is it going to be, where's it going to be?
Right up back here,
Right back here. So it's going to be,
kind of behind the Public Works garage on this side.
sure. So it'll be a full mile from another cell tower. That's it. And so you,
We get no reception here, and the police need the antenna there to help with their reception. So it will help a lot of people here. There's also other areas of the township that we're considering. What was the name of was it that little park area you were talking about?
Oh, that's just the schoolhouse. Thank you.
Schoolhouse,
Yes, thank
yeah,
you.
schoolhouse.
Yeah.
So, they said that they could put the tower anywhere. Right now, that's where the plan was done.
that's where the tower belongs, at the schoolhouse. Because the reception is so bad down there. If you put it there, that would cover even this area here, depending upon its height, at 125 or 150 feet. That's really where it belongs. You're saying the police don't have any cell tower or cellular service here at the building?
No, I'm saying that the Public Works Department, and even myself, I was talking to Mark today on my cell phone, it just goes in and out. Happens when I talk to Bernie on my cell phone, it goes in and out because there's not good reception here.
And you're not hooked onto the Wi-Fi?
We are on the Wi-Fi.
And it goes in and out?
Goes in and out.
That's a Wi-Fi problem. That's not a cellular problem.
We drive by,
That's-
it doesn't work either.
My AT&T works. I'm not saying that for all of them.
You don't have
I
any
have
cell reception
AT&T.
in this whole area. This
Yeah.
is ridiculous. Drive around and see where you have cell reception. There's none between here and Chester Springs Road. Zero.
I know it's weird because I drive it,
I'm
then
on,
a problem.
Verizon, I don't have a single bar.
Well, that probably has to do with the
Verizon.
co-location. That's correct. And
Okay.
Certain Birch Run Road.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no cell reception at the police department. People call into the police department on their cells. You gotta have cell reception at the police department.
I still would recommend monopoles. They work great. And with 5G, that's where it's all going to be going anyway. But I've done tons of work in that area, but God bless you.
Okay. George,
So is this a motion or is this,
It's a recommendation.
recommendations.
okay, so your recommendation is to get a lease, and do you know any of the
No,
details?
no, we're going to research this further is what we're doing.
We have a proposed lease that we need our attorney to look at and make sure that everything
Would you
is copacetic.
care to reveal the amount of revenue?
It's in my report. If you read it, it gives you the full statement.
Just the number.
Well, there's two different numbers because we have two different proposals. One tenant would give us $1,800 a month and $500 for each additional carrier. Another one will give us $100 a month and $2,300 for each additional carrier.
Okay, where is this?
40%,
That's not correct.
$2,300, yeah.
It
Where-
ends up being pretty accurate.
Where's your report?
The manager's report?
Yeah,
It's part of the packet. Is it not?
I didn't
Oh,
see any
I'm sorry,
packet.
yes, they did, okay. Well, I will read it to you then. Attached, you will find a proposed P3 cell tower company proposal. They will put a cell tower wherever the township wants to put it on site. They will compensate the township with 40% of the revenue from all tenants occupying the tower. They generally receive $2,500 to $2,300 per tenant. At the present time, there are two interested companies. If both tenants pay $2,300 per month, and the township would receive $1,040 per month, but if they get $2,500 per tenant, they would receive $2,000 per month. Velour is offering a monthly lease fee of $1,800 plus $500 for each carry, which would be $1,900 per month. Velour has been approached by a resident who is interested in a tower on their property. I'm assuming it's zoned residential, so they would need to seek relief from the zoning hearing board. I was told that if the board does not approve Velour cell tower proposal at our next meeting, they will withdraw their offer and proceed to build the tower elsewhere or risk losing their current interested companies, which are T-Mobile and AT&T. They also said they would give us the same deal being offered by any other cell tower company. I don't know what 40% of all the revenue would be through Velour, but right now they're neck and neck. So these are things we have to look into.
I think that the math is wrong in there because for Velour, it should have been, weren't they 1,800 for the base plus 500 for each, so that
So it's
actually comes to
1,900.
2,800.
Okay, so, I mean, give or take, we're talking like $20,000 a
She
year.
said 19, so that's that was $1,100 difference, so I just wanted to make sure that was right.
So that's, I
They're
mean,
even.
that's a trivial amount of revenue for the township
It is,
compared to the budget. I mean, it's
it is.
way less than 1%.
It's not really, I mean, the revenue's great, but it's really because we need the cell tower coverage.
Okay, it seems like we're rushing just to try and keep someone else from building a cell tower.
No,
We've
we're
been
not
talking about
rushing.
this for a long, but this started actually before I became manager. They've been discussing this with John previously, so this is an ongoing thing.
Okay,
Thank you, George. Okay, next on your list.
Where are we at? Okay, the discussion of the Human Relations Commission ordinance. I know that the purpose for making the requested changes to that were because certain parties were not protected at the state level, and they have adopted new definitions, and all parties and classes are now protected under the state. So then the question becomes, do we still want to go forward with making these changes to the ordinance, or do we want to leave the actual complaints at the state level? And I talked to Mark about it, and Mark and I kind of agreed that we thought it would be best left at the state level. But that's up to the board to decide.
Robin, do you have any concern about this?
I'm happy to respond.
Yeah, please.
That'd be great.
Please, yeah.
Robin Austin, 2735 Conestoga Road. I have a privilege of being a member of the commission, Human Rights Commission, and I would characterize that summary as not complete. As you recall, the Board of Supervisors, in response to your workshop meeting, asked us to explore kind of two ideas. One, the idea of jurisdiction, and actually Julie Foster and I met with you, Mark, about that and asked, does the ordinance need further definition about jurisdiction and how to determine jurisdiction? The second was the concern about going into investigations. And in our minutes, we stated very clearly that that is always at the approval of the Board of Supervisors. So, but I guess in terms of Jackie's characterization that there's state protection, there is some state protection under our current administration, but there is no law that protects LGBTQ people. The human rights, if we're going to have a legal argument, I won't go, that there is a law and that's been approved by the House of Representatives, but it has not passed the Senate.
Well, this is the bulletin that they printed in on page 53, volume 53, number 24 on June 17th, 2023.
And what is the law you're referring to?
The Human Relations Commission, Community Affairs, where's the definitions at?
So the Human Relations
Yeah,
Commission of
yeah.
Pennsylvania has
Yeah,
promulgated
here it is.
regulations
Right.
to bolster, I think I would agree what you said, that it goes with the administration and protecting
Yeah, and that can change at that can change at the,
LGBTQ
sure.
individuals under the State Human Relations Act. So this is a promulgation of additional regulations to bolster those issues if there was a change in opinion at
Right.
the governor level.
Exactly, Mark, but I don't think we as the commissioners saying we want the definition of who could be discriminated as defined by the ordinance change. I think we're happy with the way it is. I think there was some question about what we discussed before about, single individuals, two single female roommates could be technically denied rental. But I don't think and again, I don't want to speak on behalf of the whole commission. I'm speaking on behalf of the business that we've had so far. The minutes are online, but I don't think we're advocating changing. I think we were concerned about the question of jurisdiction. We were very concerned about that, and that was a big question. I think the other big question, again, to repeat myself, was whether or not we go into investigations, and we as the commission feel very strongly that that power is exclusively imbued to you, the Board of Supervisors. We do not have that power. We serve as merely a advisory board to you. We have no power to launch investigations to bring discrimination against citizens. We just serve in a completely advisory capacity.
But it was set up as an adjudicatory board, wasn't it, Mark?
Yes, it is an adjudicatory board.
So you're
So-
supposed to meet only when you have a complaint that's filed.
But again, we were responding to the workshop committee meeting. The supervisors presented us with several issues, which I've already enumerated, and we've tried to respond to those, and we've tried to delineate those in our minutes. And I think we're still waiting on your advice on.
We had
on the issue.
some kind of big picture items that we had talked about last year, and there were some pretty fine tuning things that the commission had suggested, and we can go back and look at those very fine tuning kind of ordinance issues. But I wouldn't suggest we do anything with the big picture items, moving it around, concerning.
I'd like to know how you would feel about us eliminating the proposed new ordinance and going back to the initial one,
I don't know what
the way it is currently set up. So not making any of the additional changes.
Well, again, I don't want to speak on behalf of the whole commission. I mean, we do have an ordinance that is enacted and is active. So, we're kind of having a kind of a theoretical discussion.
Well, I feel like a lot of the problems and the concerns and the issues came up when we tried to change a lot of that verbiage.
And please refresh me, what were you trying to change?
There was some discussion about eliminating the
Oh, yeah.
ability for the commission to move into having hearing mode, right? So that's called expanded procedures. That's something that's in the ordinance as it's written now, and it's subject to approval of
But
the
it's
board.
at our.
Yeah.
It's at the subject to approval of the board, correct?
Yeah, and I should say that our ordinance is not unusual in that it mirrors other ordinances statewide and nationwide. There's nothing extraordinarily different or out of the ordinary about our ordinance. I think we were concerned that if we removed any kind of, what's the word I want, any kind of ability to, to bring consequences to someone, that would kind of make the ordinance very hollow. But again, you as the Board of Supervisors have the right to say, if we got to that point, and again, if you saw in our minutes, I'm sorry, they were just only recently posted for some reason. We say in the spirit of goodwill, the Board of Supervisors would reach out to the person. If we don't hear again, we would reach out again. I mean, we're very much about goodwill, that if there is a conflict between residents or between an employer or a landlord, we're very much about reaching out to say, goodwill, can we sit down? Can we have you two parties sit down? If we don't hear from them again, we would say, can we reach out again? We're not as a commission in a punitive mode trying to bring actions against residents. This is about increasing communication. And again, you guys ultimately have the decision, so we do not have that power, nor do we want that power.
Agreed.
Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you very much. Okay. Do you have anything?
No, I mean, we can go back and just look at those very finer points and bring that back to the board's attention. The bigger issues, I think, kind of, we can certainly bring those up again, but I don't think that the ordinance merits those changes, at least at this point.
Right, exactly, yeah, okay. Barry?
Real quick, big picture. Flint Road, dropping it from 30 to 25.
Out of order.
Work with me. Work with me. Why are we doing that?
Why are we doing?
Yeah, why are we doing that?
Because there is so much pedestrian and dog and little children.
And people are going too fast and stuff.
Crossing the road, and people do go too fast all the time.
You're absolutely right. How many complaints have we had on people being discriminated against in West Vincent? None. There's no need for this whole thing. We've spent tens of thousands of dollars on this for nothing. I've said it before, I've said it again. Sorry, Robin, love you. You're a great guy. I always come after you. He's a great guy. Love this guy.
He's a good guy.
He is. He's a wonderful guy. This is a waste of money, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, there's never been an issue. You take action when there's an issue. There are not people around here going, get off my lawn, I hate your sexuality. Not happening. Has never happened as long as I've been in this township, and I've been here longer than all of you. So that's all I got.
Okay, were you finished with your manager's report?
No, I
Please.
circle back to the equipment bid.
Yes.
One bid was received from DLNL Fleck Incorporated. The bid amount is $140,400. After speaking with Mike Hoga, the township roadmaster, he stated that the bid amount is the estimated total, which is never reached. The total depends on the equipment and the hours used. Administration recommends that the bid be accepted. And this bid also includes the snow removal, right? This also includes snow removal.
Okay, great.
So
So
a
I'll
motion on
entertain a
that?
motion. Go ahead.
Okay. I'd make a motion to approve the bid for equipment from DNL Fleck, Inc. in the amount of $140,400.
I'll second the motion. Tom?
What do we get for 140,000? Maybe.
Snow removal and,
Snow removal and the rental of equipment and man hours there's a
For
list.
snow, this is a snow removal,
It's not just
nothing
for
else.
snow
not
removal.
just-
Okay, well, that's what I'm getting at. What's this for?
Well, there's a whole list of equipment
That's.
went
what
out in the
I'm
bid
trying to
packet,
figure
so
out.
I don't have that with me right now.
Well, here it is on the record. I'd like to see the first item that I talked about, what the heck is simulated gun training or firearms training? And I'd like to know what equipment we're gonna maybe rent for $140,000.
Well, some of our cranes, various other things, so, but it's a whole, it went out on the bid, so you could have gotten it from the bid list.
Barry?
Real quick on this, won't take a lot of time. Is this equipment and operators for said equipment?
Yes,
Insurance is covered?
insurance is covered.
You're sure of that?
Yes, we get certificates of insurance for anybody we get bids from.
Right. There's been insurance certificates from this company before. Weren't good.
Anyone else?
They're good, yeah.
Okay. Seeing none. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay. Are you?
I'm done.
You're done. Okay. So next on our list of new business is.
Oh, the Opalani Park
That's all we
grants.
have.
Okay, discussion on the Opalani Park grants.
Yeah, I just want to say that Dana and myself, and Kathy, had a meeting with Olivia from the DCNR, I forget her last name, and we met with Jessica was part of that from LTL to discuss the Opalani grants. Apparently, we're waiting, we have to finalize the plans, and then they have to be submitted to the DCNR for approval before we can start applying to get the grant funding. So that's where we're at with those right now.
Braun.
Olivia Braun, yeah. So we're working on that presently so that we can get that grant funding done. I did apply for the initial $125,000, which we can get out of the gate, so that's in the works now. So that's where the grant funding stands for Opalani Park.
Okay, any questions? All right, seeing none. Move on to public comment. Jim Berge.
Jim Berge, 1433 Bertrand Road, Chester Springs. You know, we've had a lot of criticism and questioning about the board, but I'd like to change the tone a little bit and recognize some of the accomplishments of this board. I've lived here for 25 years, and during that time, I've seen the roads in this area go to pot, literally. You talk about Flint Road, talk about Horseshoe Trail, talk about any number of roads, Kimberton, for example. Well, within the last couple of years, starting with Horseshoe Trail, getting that fixed, then Shady Lane, Blowing Springs, doing the Weatherstone development. These roads have all been fixed, and you can actually drive around here without worrying about getting your car repaired because of potholes or causing an accident because you're trying to avoid a pothole someplace. So I want to recognize the accomplishments of the board and what you've done so far this year, and also the road crew, who's done an excellent job keeping track of things and servicing our community, I think, beyond certainly as it has been in the past. So I just wanted to put this on a record and just recognize the accomplishments and thank you to the board and also to the road crew.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. So some other hands, Tom?
No.
I'll get you next.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Tom Berman from 370 Bristol Circle in Exton, but I'm actually here on behalf of the Chester County Library. I want to just fill in what the library's been doing recently. Yesterday, we had a library card sign-up fest with Senator Carolyn Comida, which went really well. We had new library card signups. We had free ice cream, we had games, special guest story times, and appearances from Bluey, who I'm not sure, because I'm told I have kids that young, and Mario from Super Mario. But more importantly, we had over 700 attendees. We registered 40 new people for library cards and donated 5 boxes of gently used books to local nonprofits. And this month is actually library card sign-up month, if you don't have one yet. And coming up next month, actually, is Henrietta Hankin Library's 20th anniversary. It's 20 years of the new library. So we're going to have a celebration on Thursday, October 19th from 4 o'clock to 7 p.m. Activities will include tours of the Maker Space, which is a technology space, games, children's crafts, free food, and toast from board member Richard Hankin and board president Joanne Weinberger. So I hope to see everybody there.
Tom, would you make sure that you send a notice to the township so we can put her on our website?
Absolutely, we'll do that. Yeah, I'll take care of that tomorrow.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Hello, I am Ann Fonish. I am from 90 Hilltop Drive, Downingtown, Pennsylvania. I am here because I am a realtor that has been contacted multiple times, and I'm just here to alert you guys of a scam that has been happening in Chester Springs. As a realtor, I've been contacted about somebody's contacted me pretending to be a resident trying to sell their vacant land. And apparently it's a scam that's becoming more and more popular. There are things that you can do. You can contact the Chester County Recorder of Deeds. They have a free program that you can sign up for. Basically, if anybody is looking at your property, trying to sell it, you'll get notification if you sign up for it. So I just wanted to let you know about, it's been happening multiple times, and there are things that you can do to try to protect yourself, so.
And is there anybody looking into this?
I have talked to the police. It happened with me 2 times in West Vincent Township in the last 2 months. And so I've been in contact with the police, and that's why they suggested I just come and let people be aware of it, that it is happening. But I would suggest going to the Chester County Recorder. Yeah, I'm sorry, the Recorder of Deeds. My brain stopped there for a second. So, but the police officers, you know, it's a long shot of trying to do anything because they make fake emails with the supposed clients' names, but they all go nowhere. So,
How's the county been alerted, other than the recorder?
Not that I know of. Yeah, I just reached out to the townships that it happened in. So, yeah.
How does the scammer get money?
So they get a fake notarized deed, and this property is sold because somebody notarizes that they are the people when they're not the people. There's a story in Connecticut that like a $1.5 million house was 3/4 of the way done being built, and the real owner came by and said, what's going on? You know, so, and now it's just all up in lawsuits of who's responsible. So this will, if you reach out to the Chester County, they will help you stay aware. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
Thank you, Ann. George, you ran up here.
Getting tired of sitting. Huh? These are just informational, I guess. You know, last month we had the Historic Commission ordinances change showed up on the agenda, and then you know, there was a flurry of activity, and you said it wasn't going to be considered. But if it got on and it was put on the agenda by mistake, but if the agenda is known to be wrong, it goes up Friday, you can change the agenda on the website. I mean, the Sunshine Law lets you change it and update it. And I think if you knew it was a mistake, you should have at least changed it to make sure we'll avoid having people come running here in a panic thinking something was going to be considered that wasn't. I guess there was an impression that you couldn't change it once you posted it, but you can.
It can be changed, yeah.
You just have to say it's updated.
Right.
And to what?
Especially to
what
remove
timeframe
something from the
can you
agenda,
change
it's
it?
supposed to be 24 hours.
No, you could change, I think you could change it right up to the meeting, and you just have to say it's updated. And for removing something, I think,
Oh, for removing something, that's no question.
and I think, yeah.
So you can't add anything.
Yeah, if you add something, then you have to explain why it wasn't added in the first place.
Or just ask Jason.
So that was,
Oh, okay, so it's not something we have. Okay, very good.
and I guess the other thing is, I just want to stress, I mean, I wish we could be consistent about posting meeting packets and of information. We have a lot of things here that, you know, it's one sentence on the agenda. There's background information that you have that isn't being posted before the meeting. And then people could at least ask intelligent questions instead of the first question on everything is, what's this about? Then maybe they could say, why are we doing this instead of what's this about? But
Okay, thank you, George.
all right.
Please. Next.
Hello, my name's Beverly Butta, and I live on 7 Adelphia Lane. We had some excitement this weekend, and the excitement has to do with the obstacle course on Dewey's Lane. We were aware of an event that was happening because it was advertised on Facebook. The Facebook post got shared 30 times, and several neighbors called. So we called because we've been through zoning hearing boards, we've been to the Court of Common Pleas, and without a permit, the obstacle course is not to be used. So really, I have a few questions. One is, can you confirm that no zoning permit was issued for this use?
No zoning permit was issued for this use because there was no zoning that we could cite for it, is my understanding.
So the answer is no, we didn't issue a zoning permit, no one applied for one, so we didn't issue one.
So no permit was issued. Two, can you let us know whether there's some agreement between the Deweys and the township in this matter?
So the zoning officer is aware of all of the issues that have been brought to her attention concerning this new activity that just took place out there over the weekend. She's aware of all the litigation that occurred starting in 2015 with the Court of Common Pleas and the Zoning Hearing Board, which ultimately ended up before the Commonwealth Court.
Yes.
Given the fact that this is a new activity, the zoning officer is reviewing what happened and what's permitted under the zoning ordinance and will take appropriate action. That is at the discretion of the zoning officer. That's about all I can say, is that we're aware of it and we're looking into it and we're taking it. The township, of course, the zoning officer is taking it seriously.
So I also want to let everybody know, and we did email several pictures. Not only did the event happen on Saturday, there was another event on Sunday morning with canines, and there was another event with over 60 cars in the old Holleran residence, which Dewey also owns, along with food trucks, grills, tents, and this lasted for midday until noon. So there were several events this weekend, 3, all of which had no permit. The other question I have is, why is the township refusing to apply the current ordinance? We were cited back with the township with a 2016 ordinance. All this took place in 2018.
All I can say is that the township's, the new zoning officer is aware of the previous litigation. She's aware of the existing ordinance for commercial recreational use. And I have not heard of additional, I've just heard of the one.
We emailed
event
and we
that took
called,
place.
and several neighbors called a week before the event. We packaged up all this information. So we really, I know you all have a hard job representing the township, believe me. But we also expect that all these taxpayers, that we abide and hold up the ordinances and enforce the law.
We're in agreement with you.
Yeah.
So, this is, we were aware of the Saturday event, and there was a lot of question going on about, whether this was allowed or not. And we did not have a clear-cut answer. So there was a lot of questions going between lawyers and zoning officer. Because it was only supposed to be family and a small event, it really didn't seem as though it was going to be in need of a permit. We just didn't have what happened on Sunday was total news to us. We didn't find out until midday today. What
Well,
happened?
we had nobody we could call during the weekend, so we had to wait till the office.
Call us anytime.
Right.
However, and I did. As I said, a week before this occurred on a Saturday, all the references to the citations, all the zoning board hearing outcomes, we packaged up the court documents from the Court of Common Pleas. We also sent reference to the 2018 ordinance with a request to cease and desist. No action was
Well,
taken.
there's nothing that prevents the zoning officer from taking action at this point.
She still doesn't.
And so if you have information regarding those other events, I would suggest that you provide it to the township and we'll take that into
I
consideration.
have, the zoning officer has all that,
Okay.
including the pictures, and I have several pictures and handouts of all the events. There was no EMT present, several people climbing on very high obstacles, several people parked, and I was almost clipped at the intersection of 401 and Dewey's, coming out of Dewey's. It's a very narrow road, and when people that aren't familiar with it turn in, there's going to be accidents. I hope you represent the township on this.
We will. Peter,
Thank
if
you.
you'll indulge me, the woman behind you has been trying to get up for quite some time.
So I'm Cheryl Lyle of 1063 St. Matthews Road in Chester Springs. Nice to meet you finally, Mark, and very nice to finally get a chance to see you, Jackie. I'd like to give a little bit of background to the situation that has been going on since mid-May. As you know, Mr. Lyle attended your last Board of Supervisors meeting on 8/21, alerting you all to the challenges we're having in resolving discrepancies with bill from the township, not receiving invoices from the township. I'm sorry?
I was just told that your husband came in, paid the bill, and it's done.
He came in on Friday, he paid the bill, I gave him the letter of
He
credit.
paid in full?
He did, $1,066.33.
So let me ask you a question, Jackie. Is that in full? Because you have an invoice to Rotelli of $389. I'd like copies of that. Do you have that with you?
I don't have it with me, I gave everything to your husband, and he paid the bill, and I gave him a letter of credit, and he said that was gonna be the end of it, so that's.
What is
we
your
did.
outstanding invoice to Rotelli for $398.57?
I will have to pull all of those bills, and it's not gonna happen quickly, because I've got a million things on my plate right now. When I have time to pull all the bills, I will. It doesn't include all of Mark's bills where you called him, and I had to this
So,
township for paying my solicitor.
Let me just, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So it's paid in full or not paid in full?
It is, right now, it is paid in full.
Right now, it's paid in full.
And I gave him your letter of credit back, so it's a moot point.
No, it isn't a moot point, because I'm asking you to clarify the $398.57, which has gone to Rotelli, to Shirley Ekman.
I didn't
Rotelli
say-
is holding $800 of our funds, contractual
I did not
funds from the
send
bill.
anything to Rotelli. What is that?
It's from you, dated 9/5. The invoice number is 2023-07. It's for a total of $398.57. It includes two of the invoices that we did agree we owe you, plus an invoice that was not on your list, Mr. Thompson. So I'm asking you, are we paid in full as of this evening?
Yes.
So the $398.57 does not need to be paid from Rotelli, from our contractual funds.
No. As far as I'm concerned, you're done with the township.
And there's no further payment from Mr. Thompson. You're not going to charge me any legal fees.
Well, no, if you wanted me to go back and count every penny and put everything on there, then it would take some time, and you were insistent that you wanted it right away. And Mr. Lyle came in on Friday and said he wants the letter of credit back so he can sell the house. So he was willing to settle for what we had agreed to when I met Mr. Lyle the week before, when I went over the bills. Kathy was in on that meeting. We went through each of the bills. We highlighted the ones that Rotelli had paid and the ones that were not. And it came to $1,066.33. And Mr. Lyle added them up. So he came up with the actual number. Kathy can attest to that.
So we'll resolve that personally, but the $1,600,
What's $1,600?
the $1,633.
$1,066.33.
Let me just ask you to clarify. I am not interested in, Mr. Lyle chose to pay that, but you could not substantiate those bills because Rotelli paid out of our contractual funds in the entire amount that was owed on the list of invoices from Mr. Thompson,
We
except
could not
for,
verify that. We verified most of them.
so you agree that it was an accounting issue?
Three?
You agree that it was an accounting issue?
Mrs. Lau, this is something that really could be settled
It can't be.
outside. What do you
It
mean
can't be. It's been going on since May. So I just want, as public record this evening, we're done.
It's done.
Paid in full.
We're done. Paid in full.
We're paid in full.
You're paid in
So the $398.57 will not be paid out of our funds from Rotelli. You're negating that.
I don't remember. I'll have to go back.
Would you like to
and
see a
look.
copy?
Yeah, because off the top of my head, I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, because I'd like to close out tonight.
Yeah, no deals were cut.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Either
whole
owned it or didn't
fabrication.
know it.
That was a whole fabrication.
If you're telling me it's completely closed this evening, that's great, but I want that gone to Rotelli.
Okay, this was not sent by me on 9/5. Who sent that? I have no idea. That's not. mm-mm. What we do with that after that meeting? Yeah, I don't know, that wasn't
Why don't
part of the calculation.
Would you hold on to that?
Yeah, okay.
What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Is the 398.57 owed, or is it cleared as of tonight?
I'll have to go back and look at the list that I went over with Mr. Lyle. I don't have the information with me because he paid on Friday, gave him that credit. I figured this was done. So I'll have to go back and look tomorrow to see if that was on the list.
So let me just clarify again. As I had asked you on 9/6, I had asked whether or not the total that you had said we owed still, which I disagree with, but we'll resolve that outside of here, that I totally disagree with, was in addition to that 398, and I still don't have clarification of that. Because what I don't want to happen, if you're telling me this evening it's completely closed and cleaned out, I'm thrilled, because it's taken me since mid-May, and it's taken 18 hours of my time that I would almost love to charge the board for at an executive level, because it's an accounting issue with the township that I proved, easily proved. And I had been asking for support since mid-May, copies of invoices that were never provided.
Mrs. Lyle, I inherited a mess with the escrows, and I'm doing the best that I can. But those bills could not be substantiated.
They were. We got canceled checks from Rotelli. I don't want to go back, Jackie,
Okay.
because you and I have a long history,
We do have a long history.
sadly. So let me just ask you again,
And I've spent
in front of the board.
countless hours on
I've
this.
spent 18 hours working full-time at an executive level that I would love to send my invoice to you, because the money that Mr. Lyle has paid in full, it does not make up invoices that came from Rotelli. It does not. And I'm going to leave it at that. I would like clarification this evening from the board that we are paid in full.
I don't think this is a board matter, it's
No,
just financial.
It's an accounting
Between-
issue, so.
I would love
Deal
to,
with
I would love to, no, I can't deal with it.
Outside of this meeting. 'cause
I've been trying to deal since mid-May.
We'll continue.
Is it,
I think we're spending
Continue?
$300 of our time.
there you go.
Happy to
No,
contribute.
I heard this evening,
Countless hours.
I've spent countless hours on this to prove a township accounting issue. Do you think I'm frustrated as all shit? I'm frustrated. I heard this evening,
Mrs. Lyle,
I don't
but-
believe that at all, Jackie. I think that this has been a pleasure for you. I have absolutely proven that this is an accounting issue.
This conversation's over. don't
I
think
want
it's
clarification from the board that I've paid in full. Mr. Lyle has paid you in full.
Mr. Lyle has paid me in full.
Thank you.
To let that $300 go.
Peter, my apologies. I thought
I
that,
just wanted to
I thought that she was dealing with.
No, I understand.
previous issue, so.
The events that happened over the weekend, he's been on that property every Sunday morning, there's been an event.
How long back would you say? How long back would you say? that it's been
I
there?
became aware of it, about how long back have there been events on Sunday morning for the dogs?
Been doing a small canine events,
Months?
and we
How often?
all complain. But now the large events, and once it hits Facebook, like I said, we're shared on 30 sites, including, and these are private sites with 91,000 followers, including the Philadelphia Spartan site this weekend. So we're bringing people in from all over, and we tried this before. We had over 5,000 people at one event that the township had us get in and do a cease and desist. 5,000 people. Imagine on Little Louise Lane.
Oh,
And 2 porta potties that are tucked in the woods as well.
Can I just say, because I've seen it from the other side, because I remember being part of the issues before, but I was not on the board, so I wasn't privy to a lot of information. But my understanding is that they're only allowed to have, use it for their own personal family. Is that what everyone else's
That is correct.
feeling is?
That they can't run it as a business.
Yeah, and is there a number of people that's
Immediate
allowed,
personal
or,
family under the 2018.
and friends, right?
Like,
I guess everyone's a friend?
We would
Yeah.
not put a pool in our backyard and open it up to the public, right? It's for immediate family.
Thank you.
Mark, you said business. It's not approved for commercial use. And they have been saying they're giving it to nonprofits, and that does not constitute a commercial activity. The nonprofits are using it as a commercial operation. So it has nothing to do with the owner and what they're doing, it's who they're giving it to. And so in fact, there are commercial activities that are going on that property and have been often. And this weekend, obviously, there were 3 of them. And is the township going to communicate with Dewey about what occurred this past weekend?
We will be in touch through our attorney. Mark, a question for you. So having a food truck there, I'm sure they're not giving away the food for free. So doesn't that constitute a commercial business on that property?
Right, it would appear to. It seems like this is a novel approach to get around the business use, and what they did back in 2015, what they were originally cited for, appears to be similar. Like, we don't have all the facts as to what we understood. It was a church event. It was a one-time church event this weekend. That was our understanding of what this event was going to be.
And individuals were charged $20 a piece and teams $50 a piece. That was very clear in their advertisement.
Right, and the number of events and how often it's used, this goes back to that they were trying to do the same thing with, I think it was a Spartan website or something back in 2015. If we look at it today and we determine that it was very similar or the exact same type of novel way of trying to get around the business use, then we'll do what we need to do under the zoning ordinance, and that's.
What can we do? Okay, so
I had people
Beverly,
in Morgantown contacting me because it went on the Twin Valley site, they're putting it on private sites, but it's to thousands of people.
so my further question is that if this dog event is going on a weekly basis, is that right, Beverly?
Sunday mornings.
Then what are we going to do for next Sunday?
We'll have to talk to the zoning officer. We'll have to find out if
But
you have information.
isn't this more legal than it is zoning?
Well, the zoning officer is essentially like the police officer for the township when it comes to land use. And she issues enforcement notices, she says cease and desist provisions. So she's gonna have to get this information, if whatever information we have concerning these weekly events, which I was not aware of, and make a determination on what we have and what type of event that is. Right now, I don't know. I mean, if you just wanna have some friends over and have your dogs do certain things on your property, that's one thing. If you're using it to make money and it's a weekly thing that's advertised, there's a lot of indicia that goes into demonstrating that it's a business use. We can look at whatever this person's doing, the Dewey's, to advertise it or make money from it and make a determination on how to move forward.
Excuse me, but making money on it has nothing to do with the issue. And that was determined very clearly at the zoning hearing board. It's a commercial use, not that money is being transferred between one person and another, and the Dewey's are making money. It was very clear that is not the definition of a commercial use.
We understand, we have reviewed what the zoning hearing board did before.
Okay. And has everyone reviewed the court documents of the appeal and then the overruling of that appeal?
We are aware, yes.
They haven't been reviewed.
No, I've been aware of them. But this is the first time, several days ago, that this event just came up. This is the first time that I've heard of this event. This is the first time
I
that,
believe didn't their lawyer say that there were only 4 tickets sold to it? The
there was
rest
only
were
a very
family?
minimum number of tickets.
Isn't that what they tried to tell
And
us?
that it was their church that was using it for a
They
fundraiser.
advertised on the websites that there would be a maximum of 80 tickets for this event. And it was a bit more controlled the Saturday one. However, the one on Sunday was huge.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Then our police went out on Saturday and they said it was what we thought it was going to be, and it was.
I guess
They
my
checked
question
there
And
was
what was
no
the
issue
Sun,
with parking.
what was the Sunday event?
Was
I don't
it
know.
the same type of event?
It was a bait and switch, right?
Sunday was they've been also having birthday parties, so Dave's gonna come up and talk to you about, they're actually taking in, on the Signal messaging app, a lot of word is getting out, and especially across all social media, that anyone can sign up on these and bring their kids from Downingtown, Westchester, schools, etc. There's payment on the Signal apps, and you arrange with the Deweys and have the event. And I can pull all those social media sites. I've taken all snapshots. We have them filed, along with all the several pictures.
So I would just say the more information you can provide to the zoning officer, the more information she'll have to make a decision on how to move forward.
After the meeting, would you provide us with the contact so we can
Yeah, absolutely.
communicate?
We have quite a few neighbors here. There are many, many neighbors that are away today or whatnot, but the neighbors that surround the whole area are quite upset about this, as you can imagine.
And what are we able to do on a weekend when an event occurs? Because all of a sudden they just pop up. We don't have anyone to call. The police aren't able to respond to it because they haven't been given the authority to respond to it. So what are we able to do other than take pictures and give them to you on Monday?
So we don't know right now, but we'll get in touch with you
Okay.
soon, within the next couple of days, and let you know what we can do.
So it's really what we can do when it occurs over the weekends, which
Yeah.
would be helpful.
Okay. Barry?
Is there a fine if they have an event like that? Like, what would you do if they're going against the zoning? Is there a specific fine per use on something?
$500 a day.
Oh.
Up to.
Oh, giddy up, man. Just run the event. Financially, that's the best thing going. Thanks.
That's correct.
Yeah, they don't care. It's their fee.
I'm Dave Buckta, 7 Adelphia Lane, Chester Springs. Again, talking about the event. One thing, kind of the excitement Bev forgot to mention. Kristen Palladino. There's a tribe event organized for homeschool field trip in November. Everyone's really excited. It's a free play tribe group, it's called, and it's run through the Signal messaging, which Signal messaging is, you got to be invited to it. So it's kind of like a underground social media site. So there is one in the future. We'll leave this with you for a copy of the screen print of stuff that's going to happen in November, but it does happen on a regular basis. And agreeing with what Peter says, the definition of commercial exchanging hands is like, everybody has big yards here. Can we put a pool in? Barry's always asking me to put in a bocce ball court. He wants to have tournaments in there. I'm like, Barry, it's a residential area. But really, it just kind of goes against the theme in the neighborhood to have public events in a residential area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Berge again. Yeah, Barry asked a question I was going to ask as well. $100 isn't much. How do you change the ordinance to provide a meaningful fine, for people that continue to violate the ordinance? Like $10,000 might get their attention?
Currently, we're working on an event ordinance, and so this will give us a lot of thought,
Good,
to the process.
good.
So yeah, this event ordinance has been going on for well over 18 months, and it's soon to come. You already spoke, Barry.
Yeah, I did. And I would caution everybody it's a new subject, your event ordinance. And I would caution people against that because that's going to bring the hammer down on people that are in commercial areas, the horse show, things like that. Exercise extreme caution on it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, please. No, not you, Tom. Sit down. This one here.
Karen Lampy, St. Matthews Road. Just an observation. I've been coming to these meetings for quite a while now, periodically. I have to say that the rudeness that is displayed from this table to these residents is appalling. The disrespect, the faces, it's just such disrespect for residents. You work for them. They pay you. They pay the taxes. And you're smirking at me. I don't know why, but I've watched this over and over again. Certain people, you make faces about, you cut them off, you tell them to sit down. Is that any way to treat residents?
There's an order to the meeting.
Oh,
It must
it's
be
an
established.
order that you decide to pick on your terms and who it is. I see it. We see it. It's wrong. Please try to do better.
You should sit on this side.
Oh, you chose to be on that side, okay?
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
move it.
Ken?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I think that's what she meant.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Bernie. Ken Allen, 21 Ivy Lane, Chester Springs. August 15th of last year, I brought up to the board the idea of lowering the speed limit for Horseshoe Trail. Subsequently, thank you for doing it for Flint Road. Flint Road is a very dangerous road. I've been on it many, many times. It's, for the most part, a straightaway. I've seen cars go 30 miles an hour, and I've seen cars go 65 miles an hour on that road. But Horseshoe Trail is a whole different animal. Since that time, I know in talking to the board, I suggested doing a safety study with it. The notes that came out afterward had suggested a speed study, which isn't what I had put forth. I put forth a safety study, which are two different things. So I'd like to resurrect that at this point. One of the members who's here tonight said it doesn't matter if you lower it to 25. People are still going to go fast, but if one life gets saved, then that gets negated. So it doesn't matter how slow you drive on the road, as long as someone, or fast you drive on the road, as long as someone gets saved and lives aren't put in jeopardy with it. So it's been 13 months since I brought it up. I'm going to continue to bring it up. I've been talking to Chief about it, and please consider lowering the speed limit. Thank you.
Can I just speak to that, please? So I was one of those that said to eliminate that speed study because it should be a safety study. We looked into the cost for a safety study, and that was brought back to us, but John had done the entire Horseshoe Trail. And it was quite expensive, the entire area that was in our township. And I had tried to reject that and send that back asking to get just the area that was dangerous so we could see if there was, the point is not necessarily that you reduce the speed, that perhaps maybe you're putting different signage up, maybe there's, curves ahead, there are different things that can be done, and that's what comes out of the safety study. And that request to get a cost for that smaller area was never honored, so we didn't move forward. So that is something we can consider. Maybe you can help us with what the area would be. We can find out what the cost is, and we can decide if we want to go forward with it.
Thanks. And thanks for stating that, Dana, because, we haven't really discussed this before, but you're absolutely right. The whole entire road does not need to be lowered in as a speed limit. If you go up towards Route 100 or the other side of Route 100, especially where it's state road on this side of Route 100, it's really not an issue. Then you get to Janney Lane and heading down toward the Miller's Farm, and it's a roller coaster. And then you head towards the bridge, the one-lane bridge by Hollow Road, and it's a death trap. And thank God no one has been injured, at least not that I know of, within recent years, other than me. But I'm not doing this to grind my own axe with it. But yeah, for any of you who knew me a year and a half ago, I was in a straight brace, and it was because of the speed limit on the road. I had to dive out of the way, and I got really injured because of doing so. But I'm not concerned with myself as much as I am with my dog that I'm always walking on the road, and the pedestrians and the equestrians. And the fact is that if you look at Horseshoe Trail from down Route 113, which is not our area, but into our township and all the way to Hollow Road, it's a trail. It's actually the Horseshoe Trail. And there's only one little section that you can divert off of it onto off of the road onto physical trail. Other than that, it's a trail. So, to your point, and thanks for bringing that up, because I'm kind of giving a blanket statement of, hey, lower the speed limit. And I really don't mean that. I think that there are certain sections that really need to be looked at. I believe especially when you look at the S-curve that is right by Miller Road that leads to Ivy Lane, that in particular, it's all blind curve. It's a suggested 15 miles per hour, but it's not. It's 30 miles per hour if you want to do it. And then you have two trucks going in opposite directions doing 35 through there, because we all know no one's doing 30 on the road. So I'll just stop right there and not take any more of your time, but please consider in the future lowering that speed limit. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Last go round, for the last time we were here, and to find out we're handing out free fuel here at the township. Did you ever get a handle on that and figure out what it is?
You mean the electric?
How much,
Electric.
when, all that?
We are in the process of getting it set up so that when people plug in, they're going to have to use their iPhone or smartphone to use a QR code to pay for the electricity. We don't know what the cost is because it's mixed in with all of the kilowattage for the building. There's no way for PICO to break that out. But when we start individually billing people who plug in, then we'll know what the costs are.
Yeah, I called up the company. I took the liberty of finding out a few things about that. With about, 10 minutes worth of conversation, I found out that the software that's existent here in the machine can provide you a printout of exactly what goes on. In fact, the company actually said, "We thought we sent you these reports."
What company are you referring to?
Let me see here, Zevtron. Very nice. So, about.
That's not the company. The representative we're dealing with, his name is Dennis. And I don't believe that's the name of the company.
Well, I guess they're the people who make the device.
Mike Koga had this installed through another company, and Dennis was the rep, and he's the one I've been conversing with to get this.
I'm talking about the manufacturer. They have in that machine the capability to give you a report spit out directly.
Okay, well, I'm not aware of that. That's not what we were told.
No, the other thing that gets me here, I'm just absolutely confused. So, in order to make yourself feel well about saving the planet or whatever else, you've decided to pick winners and losers. And unfortunately, it seems to me that you've decided to screw over all the poor people in the township. Really, you don't see that, do you? Well, then how about I pull my car back there and I fuel it every week or so? Is that cool? Is that worthwhile? My car is 10 years old, and that's my new vehicle. My truck's 22 years old. I'd like to afford perhaps a $50,000 car. This is probably the cheap end, so that I can get some free energy. But I guess you've decided to play Robin Hood in reverse. You're going to make the poor taxpayers pay so that those can afford $50,000, $100,000 vehicles can just have a free ride. No pun intended. How's that working out?
Well,
I'll tell you, it's not working out for the average person here.
You're right.
We're not happy with this.
I agree with you.
This is malfeasance at a high level.
I agree with you, and we're working to try to resolve it. I was not aware of this until 2 months ago when I became the manager.
That seems to be an ongoing thing here of unawareness across the board. Who decided to set this Mickey Mouse setup up to begin with without having, well, I think they're sitting next to you. Speak up. Speak up.
It's in the process.
It's in the process.
It's in the process.
So's my death by old age.
Thank you.
Yeah, I bet you'd be happy when that happens. Because you know what?
Come on, now.
No. I have to endure endless conversations here about nonsense. This is stuff that
your friend back here is talking about abuse. Come on.
This is
just take a seat. We don't need this.
I don't know who that is.
This has nothing to do with township business.
Not township business. You're
recognized.
spending my money. You're spending taxpayers' money.
Okay.
It's an outrage.
Barry, you recognize.
Outrage.
Pretty bad when I look like the sensible guy up here. But Tom is right. Tom is right. Jackie, it's not you.
I agree, and I'm
It's
trying
not
to
you.
get
We're trying to get it stopped.
And I totally get it. You picked up a
Shut it
a
off.
total S show. I totally get it. The hiring of John Granger, which everybody knew was going to be a train wreck. You're picking up the pieces for a mess that was hired on a couple years ago. After Erica left, that was the end of decent management here. It's nothing to do with you. It has to do with what is normally the three people to your right, and there was no answer on this. It's been free electricity for everybody, like Tom's saying, and we are paying for people that own $50,000, $100,000 electric cars, which I'm surprised you didn't plug in tonight. I saw you pull in. You might as well tapped in. We were paying for it tonight.
Yeah.
So, didn't you drive an electric car?
Yeah, how many people actually do it?
Who cares? If it's one, we're paying for it.
Yeah.
Well, we
So-
have people who park there overnight, and I think it's an atrocity myself. I think we should have shut it off until the new thing set up.
Common sense from Dana. Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. I'm done. You're absolutely right.
No, I've been complaining about it for a while, and Jackie's in the process of getting it done. It's gonna cost those people, I can't wait to see their faces when they see it's 30 cents a kilowatt. Can't wait to see that.
Sooner the better. If you call the company, they'll get you set up in a day.
We have people who park there and they walk home, and they leave their car.
It's wealthy welfare. It's wealthy welfare. It needs to be shut down tomorrow.
Well, just so you understand, I just recently sent our kilowatt costs and our banking information so that when they turn it on, people have to use a QR code, they'll have to put in their credit card number, and then PICO will directly deposit that money into our general fund.
That's fantastic. Glad to hear that. It's gone on for 4 years. It shouldn't have.
Well, but look at how short a distance it is since we got Jackie here, and we're getting it done,
I
okay?
cannot argue with you on
Because
that.
we've been talking about this for a long time, and Jackie's doing
You're
it.
absolutely right. And again, that goes back to John Granger, 3 years of hell. So thank you.
Who hired him?
I won't get into
Mike?
that.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, motion for adjournment?
Oh, yes.
Second.
I would second that.
Adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Hi. Oh, I'd love to see your pictures. By the way, how many people do you think were there?
Oh, really?
And there was a show on Discovery, and I had someone call